On this edition, I'm going to break down and predict the upcoming fight on the UFC on FX7 card between Michael the Count Bisping and Vitor the Phenom Belfort. Now, this is a 5-round fight. The winner of this fight could very well be the next top contender in the middleweight division, take on Anderson Silva for his middleweight title. Now, what I'm going to do in this video, I'm just going to break down both fighters, do my predictions. So I'll start with Vitor Belfort. Now, Vitor Belfort started mixed martial arts as a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu ace, guy who was going to submit everybody, and he started knocking out people left and right. And I'd say the best part of Vitor Belfort's game is his, obviously, I know he's such a balanced fighter, but I mean, his stand-up is just, he's so deadly on his feet. It's his hand speed, and it's something that very few fighters can match, is his hand speed and the speed that he possesses. He's electrifying. He is so fast, and you know, he's obviously he's been training in boxing, and he's a southpaw. He is at a 2-inch reach disadvantage in this fight. But what he has in this fight is the fact that the pace that he pushes, how aggressive he is in the early rounds, and how he always looks for the kill. And it's his hand speed and his knockout power that really make him such a deadly striker in whatever division it is that Vitor Belfort is fighting in. And he continues. I mean, it just, as soon as the fight starts, he's in your face, comes forward, and he hits with bad intentions. He's a headhunter. I mean, that's exactly what Vitor Belfort does. And he's actually still a very skilled mixed martial artist. But Vitor Belfort has 14 knockouts on his resume, and he looks for the kill at any time of the fight. And I don't think the reach disadvantage is that big of a factor. I mean, given the fact that he is faster than Michael Bisping, he has more knockout power than Michael Bisping as well. In regards to the clinch or just the ground game in general, Vitor Belfort's a black belt in judo. He's a black belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. He's got a good frame. He's a hard guy to get down to the ground. And given his speed, his ability to get fighters down to the ground, Vitor can toss people down to the ground, and he can incorporate some really good ground and pound. He does have good ground control. His submission ability, he's the better Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu practitioner in this fight. He can submit people in the dominant position and also off of his back. In regards to his chin, I'd say that, you know, he's been knocked out 3 times, or TKO knocked out 3 times, twice at the hands of Randy Couture, and obviously the other one at Anderson Silva's front kick, the highlight reel knockout we've all seen, and he's been submitted twice, Jon Jones and Alistair Overeem. So Vitor Belfort is a very hard guy to put away. He's incredibly tough, gritty fighter, no quit mentality in him. A few things about Vitor Belfort. I'd say he's the faster fighter in this fight. I'd say he has more knockout power. I'd say he's the better Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu practitioner in this fight. I'd say his cardio, he does not have the better cardio in this fight. That's going to be a big problem if it gets into the later rounds, being that's a 5-round fight. I'd say he's fought better talent than Michael Bisping has had, and obviously he's more experienced than Michael Bisping. But where I see Vitor Belfort being successful in this fight, I'd say the fact that there's no mystery of this. Vitor Belfort's got to let the hands go early. He's got to come out aggressive. He's got to put Michael Bisping out of his comfort zone, put him off of his technical striking game, get in his face, and force him to make a mistake, and let him drop his hand and land the big Hail Mary shot. And I think Vitor Belfort can most definitely do so, but it's got to be early on in the early rounds. So if Vitor Belfort's successful, it's got to be via TKO or knockout in the earlier rounds, at least round 1, 2, and 3. So that's where I see Vitor Belfort being successful. So Michael the Count Bisping. Now, Michael Bisping is one of the most balanced fighters in mixed martial arts. He has very few holes in his game. He's a very smart fighter. He's a good technical striker. And in regards to his stand-up, I mean, Michael Bisping is not so much a headhunter. He's not so much a knockout artist. He does have good power in his hands, but he's all about technique. He's got boxing and kickboxing in his stand-up arsenal. His ability to mix up the strikes, change levels, work the body. He's a combination striker as well. I mean, it's not so much throwing in 4s and 5s like the Diaz brothers, but he throws a good 1-2. He has a really good jab, and he's very good at getting inside of his opponent's strikes and obviously finding the gaps. And the best part, I mean, we saw this a lot in the Brian Stann fight, his ability to, Michael Bisping to be on the offensive and obviously the defensive. He can be aggressive, and he could also counter-strike as well. That just has to do with how smart of a striker he is. I say he's not so much a knockout artist, but Michael Bisping's strikes do add up, and he picks all the perfect spots. In regards to his clinch game, I mean, Bisping has really good control. He has a very underrated grappling game as well. I mean, Michael Bisping, we've seen what he's done to Chael Sonnen. We've seen what he's done to Brian Stann. We've seen what he's done to a bunch of good grapplers, and he does wrestle. I mean, Michael Bisping's skill set on the ground, I mean, he does wrestle. He does partake in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu as well, and he can take fighters down. He works well in the clinch. And he's very good at working both in a dominant position and off his back. He's a very slippery fighter when he's on his back, and he also has really good control when he's in the dominant position. He can utilize ground and pound. He can submit fighters. He will not submit Vitor Belfort, though. That's one thing I will go on record and say. He will not submit Vitor Belfort. In regards to Michael Bisping, he does have a reach advantage. This fight, 2-inch reach advantage. In regards to chin and submission defense, I mean, he's never been submitted before. He's been knocked out once. That was by, obviously, the knockout of the lifetime by Dan Henderson. He does have a good chin. Bisping does get wobbled, but he does a really good ability of when he is wobbled or does get hit clean, he clinches and uses that time to obviously recover. In regards to submission, I don't think Bisping's going to submit Belfort. I think Belfort can submit Bisping, but I think it'll be a tough task. But other things, I'd say he's not faster. Bisping is not faster than Belfort. He's not had more knockout power than Belfort. I'd say his cardio is a lot better than Vitor Belfort's. Bisping has not fought the talent level that Vitor Belfort has, and I'd say that Bisping's the better technical striker in this fight. So where I see Michael Bisping being successful in this fight, I think it's all about weathering the storm, really. I think Vitor Belfort's going to come out guns blazing like he does in a majority of his fights. I think he's got to clinch it up or get it down to the ground, wear out Vitor Belfort in the early rounds, whether it's round 1 and 2. Make him tired, make him breathe a little heavy, and then start opening up with the striking in the later rounds. But then again, I mean, Michael Bisping will probably stand up and trade in the early rounds because I don't think he'll swallow his pride, because I think Michael Bisping has a lot of confidence in his hands and his striking ability. So I think he's probably going to take on Belfort heads on. But I think the smart thing to do would be to clinch up, to grapple, to wrestle, to wear down Belfort, and then start to open up in the later rounds. But I think a TKO is possible. I don't see Bisping knocking out Belfort cold, but I think a TKO is possible. Maybe some ground and pound or up against the cage with some strikes. That's in the later rounds, maybe rounds 4 or 5. But I think if Michael Bisping's successful, I mean, he wins this fight via decision. I think that's just what makes the most sense. I mean, he has the better cardio. He'll stay fresh in the later rounds, and he'll outwork Vitor Belfort in the later rounds. But he has to weather the storm. He has to keep his hands up and his head moving. So that's where I see Michael Bisping being successful. So where my prediction lies, and this is a tough one. I mean, I really do think Belfort can land that shot early on in the fight or just at any time in the fight. But I mean, I just have to go. I really do think Michael Bisping is going to come in and he's going to implement a really good game plan. He's going to grapple. He's going to avoid Belfort's strikes. Obviously, people were concerned about Bisping and aggressive strikers. We saw what he did to Brian Stann. Obviously, Brian Stann and Belfort are two completely different fighters, but I think Bisping's going to come in, he's going to grapple, then he's going to open up in the later rounds. I think Belfort's most definitely going to get his shots in. He's definitely going to grapple and get some submission attempts, and he's going to land his strikes. But in the end, I'm going to have to take Michael Bisping, getting this one to the later rounds, opening up with the striking, picking apart Vitor Belfort, and staying fresh and utilizing his cardio and the movement in the octagon, his grappling, and winning this fight via unanimous decision. So I'm going to take Michael Bisping defeating Vitor Belfort on the UFC on FX7 card via decision. And that's what I have for this edition. It's Kyle Delaney signing off. I'm out of here.